Now, late last night, while I was sleeping,
You sleep, Jake? What?
well, actually, yeah, not much, but and I'm feeling that this week, to be honest with you. But I slept well because GW won yesterday, beat R-N.Y on the road.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, Elise Stefanik's open war with Speaker Mike Johnson. Number two, what's happened in Tennessee and what it means for 2026. And number three, problems for the crypto Congress. All right, Jake, we have a ton of news in this morning's AM edition, and you took the lead on our top item, reporting out on Elise Stefanik, the Republican from New York, and her frustration with Speaker Mike Johnson. They have not always had a close relationship, to say the least, but now it is boiling over as she is potentially looking to tank the NDAA over a provision that she says the Speaker should have pushed more for.
Where do I even start here? Let us talk about this. Obviously, that's why we're here. Elise Stefanik is a member. Let's start with this. She's a member of the Republican leadership. She is a close ally, at least has been a close ally of the leadership for many, many years. She is a very wily operator in the Republican leadership structure and has been. She toppled, remember, Liz Cheney back in the day. She was very angry, openly furious that Mike Johnson, or that the NDAA, the annual Pentagon policy bill, did not include her provision that would have the FBI tell Congress if it had opened a counterintelligence operation against a member of Congress or elected official or candidate. That was knocked out during four-corner negotiations. Four-corner negotiations mean the committee process, and she just went completely ham on Mike Johnson. She said she was going to tank the rules. She said Johnson was lying to her, lying about her, all sorts of things that we lay out in the newsletter. Now, late last night, while I was sleeping.
You sleep, Jake? What?
Well, actually, yeah, not much, but and I'm feeling that this week, to be honest with you. But I slept well because GW won yesterday, beat R-N.Y on the road. But I got a text late last night that this might end up back in the bill, which actually kind of makes this whole thing more instructive, right? Mike Johnson has to pay attention to every nit, every complaint, everything in this majority as he enters this incredibly difficult gauntlet, which we wrote about yesterday. It is just, I mean, not everyone's going to handle it like Stefanik did, right? Not everyone's going to go on Twitter, on X, and go crazy and say that they're going to take down a rule. But that actually is one way to get something done, because if you are going to take down a rule, Anna, you need to be listened to. Go ahead.
But what I think is so fascinating, I mean, we have talked about this going back to Kevin McCarthy, right? You had the Freedom Caucus, the rebel rousers, whatever you want to call them, right? And they were the ones who were threatening things, right? The MTGs of the world who were going to, potentially do discharge petitions, things like that. This to me feels different, right? This is Elise Stefanik. Yes, she's not close personal friends with Mike Johnson. She's very frustrated that she, remains in Congress and wasn't the UN ambassador. But still, I mean, this is something that I think if you're Mike Johnson and you're his leadership team, you need to take really seriously, to the point of saying, like, okay, like, wow, not only is it just the people that, are constantly, necessarily poking at leadership, but this is one of their own.
I will say, though, I mean, we have to mention Elise Stefanik is running for governor, and she can't, governor of New York, obviously. She's not pulling a Daryl Issa and is running for governor of a different state. She's running for office in a different state. She is running for governor of New York. She cannot dump on Trump, and she benefits from putting some distance between herself and the leadership, the broader leadership, Republican leadership structure in D.C., because in New York, Republicans aren't that popular, right? The last Republican governor was George Pataki. That was a long time ago. So it might be that some of her political incentives are a little bit askew, right? Like, but
Totally, but I don't. It's just it feels a little different to me, and I think the question is going to be how does Mike Johnson handle these things? Does it, how does he not let it get to this point? Right.
oh, I
This
think that's
is
exactly
member
right.
management at 101 of like, and I think also just how difficult his job is. I'm not saying that, this is easy, right? I mean, this is really, really difficult, but when you have such a short, small margin, I mean, this is his own members. This isn't even Democrats we're talking about here.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, and that's the point that we make at the bottom of the item, which is like he has to wage internal battles even before he turns his eyes toward or his attention toward Democrats, right? I mean,
Hmm.
this and he's got a lot of stuff he's got to deal with on top of Obamacare, on top of spending, on top of this kind of stuff. He's got discharge petitions. He's got political concerns. Excuse me. He's got just a whole host of things that are just top of mind at all times. And he almost lost a rule on the floor yesterday because people were like, there was a big NIL bill on the floor, and people were like, why are we even doing this? Like, why aren't we focused on affordability? And it's just like, this is a thankless job. And again, Mike Johnson asked for this job. Like, I didn't put him into this position. I think members are feeling that a lot these days. It's like, he's exhausted by the job. He complains about the job. Like, he's doing this because he wants to. And, it is a tough job. It is incredibly tough now. And their political position is increasingly perilous. I get all of that. But keep in mind, this is a job he put himself in. No one else forced him into the position. He didn't, he put himself therein.
And he's figuring out how difficult it is when you have a fairly disengaged president, right? So many of the early
Yeah,
victories and the unity that the Republicans had in the House stemmed from President Donald Trump, right? And
that's right.
that is just another flavor and another layer to this entire discussion. All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 2 story of the morning. Van Epps won in Tennessee despite Democratic overperformance. We talked about this on the pod. We've been watching this race closely. So have both Democrats and Republicans trying to read the tea leaves about what it means. Van Epps, as predicted, did end up winning, but it certainly was not the 22-point margin that Donald Trump and that Van Epps's predecessor enjoyed. It was a much closer race.
Yeah, and let's not. It was right now, I think, and it's just before 5 a.m. in Washington. It is it is a what is it? It's an 8-point race, almost a 9-point race in a 22 margin district. Let's not say turnout was not good. The turnout is according to our friends at the Cook Political Report nearly matching the turnout from the 2022 midterms. So let's not say that this is a very low turnout race or something like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's just not. So if you are a Republican in any district that is tight, I mean, should be of concern to you. I'm sorry, like it should be of concern to you. Van Epps was compared to Afton Ben, the Democrat, a candidate that fits this district. He is a West Point grad, a combat veteran, a conservative. Afton Ben was like almost comically not a candidate that fit this district. She had been on camera saying she doesn't like country music. She doesn't, she's a radical. She said these things. She said
Mm-hmm.
she's a radical. She's not like a blue dog Democrat. She's not a conservative Democrat. And she didn't, I don't think she really even claimed to be. But this shows that Democrats are, Democrats are not going to compete across the board in R plus 22 seats or seats that Trump won by 22 points. They're not. But if you are going to take nothing away from this election and you're a Republican, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it seems like a really bad strategy to me. To me, it
Yeah.
seems like not a great strategy. And so we'll have to see how Rich Hudson, the chair of the NRCC, said yesterday in a conference meeting, we reported, a win's a win in predicting the Van Epps win. Most people were predicting between 4 and 6 points. This is a little bit higher. It's 9 points. I don't know. A win is a win, but you have to be able to take something away from this win.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Democrats take too, right? All of a sudden, I mean, you have to imagine that the Democratic fundraising machine and certainly Hakeem Jeffries and that the whole arm of the Democratic Party are going to look at probably not R plus 22 to your point, races. But if there is, if there is something that would energize Democrats, it was the wins that they saw in Virginia and New Jersey, and now stronger than, kind of what a lot of people would have hoped performance down in Tennessee.
That's right.
All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 3 story of the morning. We have talked a ton about the crypto Congress and the role and impact that crypto had in the past election, as well as how active they have been this election. But really interesting item here from our vault coverage. This is our policy coverage that focuses on financial services, tax, trade. We are reporting this morning that bipartisan talks on crypto market structure legislation is grinding along as pressure mounts for senators to host a markup before the end of this month. A final agreement, though, remains elusive. I mean, this has been something that there's had fits and starts, and has seen momentum, and then all of a sudden, really the inability by Democrats and Republicans to come together on some of the finer details.
And you're kind of seeing this. It's interesting. You're kind of seeing this across the board when it comes to legislation dealing with crypto and also dealing with AI. And I'm putting that in the same bucket because it's two things that Congress has kind of struggled with in the new world, the new economy, the new paradigm on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
The two crypto provisions fell out of the NDAA, state preemption on preempting state AI laws, and GAIN AI, which is something that basically you prohibiting or limiting the shipping of American chips overseas. Now, crypto has been something that Congress has struggled with in the past, right? I mean, market structure is something that Congress has figured that they could do, they should do, they have not been able to do. So a great item by Brendan and Laura here about the problems in the crypto Congress.
Right, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media. Tell your friends. It is the best way for folks to find out about us. And of course, you can go deeper on all these things and more by going to punchbowl.news and signing up for our free morning newsletter. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.